Welcome, everyone, to this Clubhouse event, Your Energy, Health, Be Responsible with Empowering Solutions. We're going to talk about smart cities. So I'd like to start by raising the vibration in the space that we're in now by calling for the highest possible vibration and calling forth the truth to come forward into our discussion this evening so that we may see the truth in all that we see, so that we may hear the truth in all that we hear, and so that we may speak the truth in all that we say. Shall we be in that frequency of truth, and shall we have nothing but the truth? Shall we call for the power divine feminine to bring balance back into our world, showing us the way through honor, respect, and gratitude? Shall we call for the power divine feminine to bring balance back into our world, showing us the way through honor, respect, and gratitude? Shall we call for the power divine feminine to bring balance back into our world, showing us the way through honor, respect, and gratitude? Shall we call for the highest possible vibration, calling for the highest possible vibration, calling for the highest possible vibration? I now ask that we take a sip of water and ask for the water to hydrate our brains and bodies. Water is the medium that holds memory and will assist in the flow of information that we share here together this evening on Clubhouse. Now take a deep breath in, bringing in peace, and release and exhale, letting everything else out. Take another deep breath in, bringing in joy and gratitude, and exhale out. And another deep breath in, bringing in life into our bodies, and exhale out, releasing all that does not serve us. And Lakesh and Veritas, everyone, I call forth the oneness and truth of the information shared by each and every one of us here on this call, calling in that frequency of truth and all that is truth, with honor, respect, and gratitude to you all. For those who are unfamiliar with the term, the greeting and Lakesh is Mayan greeting, meaning for oneness, signifying unity where everything and everyone are interconnected. It is that idea of community where we can share with one another our ideas, goals, and aspirations. And veritas, the Latin word for truth, to see the truth in all things. So therefore, Enlication Veritas is that declaration of oneness and truth in which we are declaring our spaces, the space we're in now, so that we may be able to bring forth a truthful, elevated, and enlightened discussion this evening, clearing away those ill thoughts that we tend to pick up and carry with us from throughout the day from our everyday life experiences. Remember, our words have power. So it is important that we use our words carefully, using words of upliftment, encouragement, and enlightenment. And by doing so as a collective will help us to transform our spaces and places into higher frequencies that will result in better experiences in our lives and assist in raising the vibration of those we meet. So, Enlication Veritas, everyone, with honor, respect, and gratitude. I now would like for everyone to hold their water again and with intention in mind, send the frequency of Enlakesh to your water. Then take a sip of your water, thereby assisting through signaling and incorporating the elevated frequency of Enlakesh from the water into the cells of our bodies, assimilating that water into the cells of our bodies. And using this technique will assist in the ease and flow of information we share this evening together. All right, everyone. So let's get started. A few weeks ago, we talked about that affluent city of Maui, Lahaina, mhm, Lahaina. Excuse me, I'm pronouncing it wrong. Lahaina, which sustained significant damages from wildfires. How do I pronounce it again? Lahaina, Lahaina. Historically is the home of Hawaiian royalty. Several queens came from this area as a result, and the community was preserving this area um, from getting gentrified, preserving it. So mysteriously, there were these wildfires that destroyed many homes incinerating them. But the interesting thing here is that the homes burned down to the ground. But if you look at the photos that were shown in media, in mainstream media, you'd see that the trees were charred, but they were still standing. So that's kind of unusual. If you have homes that were incinerated down to the ground, I would expect the trees to do the same. So it was reported that at least 2,200 buildings were destroyed with damages. And there are some theories, what the news would report as conspiracy theories, with the development of what is planned, quote unquote, is as a 15-minute smart city for the city of Maui. And there are many things that went wrong during this incident, but we'll get into that a little later. I first want to delve into what is a smart city and what does that mean? Smart city, also known as 15-minute cities, a city. So a 15-minute city, smart city, is a city in which everything you need is located within a 15-minute walk or ride from your home. These necessities includes job, food, schools, healthcare, green spaces. Some definitions would include public transportation, but the model envisions that it's an environment where people can access amenities within a 15-minute walk, bike ride, or public transportation from their home. So the idea is to essentially reinvent neighborhoods by trying to ensure that pretty much all the goods and services a person could ever want or need are readily available to them nearby. And some people would say that this equates to a lockdown. And then what about doing this in equitable communities? Would it be equitable? So one of the most important aspects that they're trying to draw out is that a person um, who is in need is close by, everything is there but there would be an elimination of the necessity of a personal vehicle, a car. Now, can you imagine not having a car? But, practically speaking, everything a person would need that would be close, literally walking distance, is that everything? What about those large venues like universities, stadiums, airports, hospitals and museums? I mean, we usually have one stadium per city, or, you know, so to speak. And they're trying to promote, saying that by doing this, getting rid of the cars, it will reduce the emissions, the carbon emissions that are released from the cars, and also elimination of an $8,000 car payment because of the minimizing the need for transportation, and then less congestion. you know um without the stadium, without having those venues for entertainment, or even an airport, do they expect us to go anywhere? How do they expect us to communicate with our family members from other parts of the country if we're supposed to stay in this little uh quote unquote 15-minute smart city? To me it sounds more like modern day slavery, similar to how families were separated, by separating the communities and destroying the communities by the separation, as they did during the slavery time, separating the families. Do you have any comments? Does anybody have any comments?
In Lakesh Veritas with honor, respect, and gratitude.
And Lakesh and Veritas with honor, respect, and gratitude, Stacy.
So many thoughts come to mind, and I'm so glad that you took time to describe and define what a smart city is and the 15-minute city is. And I wanted to add on to that, something that I was reading about it was that it's going to track your data so that they can personalize it and make sure that it's accommodating what you like and what you need and your preferences. And that can
Right.
sound nice, but at the same time, they're tracking you. Like ultimately, they're
Right.
tracking you. And so going to the idea of slavery, like, yeah, they are taking your freedom away with trying to entice you with you're going to have everything you could ever want and dream of. So it's kind of interesting if people are not very vigilant of what is being said to them and what is being stated, that they're going to fall into this easy trap of like, oh, I'm going to be conveniently given everything that I need and it's going to be right there at my fingertips. While is it really going to be everything that you need, or is it everything that you want? And I thought about the idea of the hospitals as well, and even
Mm-hmm.
more so in terms of those that are expecting and those that are having children. And
Mm-hmm.
we've seen many cases of well, we know how it works with like OB-GYNs and things of that nature in terms of, they get the opportunity to have a provider throughout their pregnancy, and then it's time to actually deliver, and their doctor is not available. So then they get
Right.
someone else. And that's very fear inducing. And that's one of the issues with in pregnancy and delivering is that it's that fear. So I'm thinking about like, yeah, so they might have everything else within 15 minutes, but what about that demographic? What about those that need those child care services? How is
Well,
that
even
really
also
gonna
the specializations as well too. Because they
exactly?
have all these, because everything is so compartmentalized with regards to healthcare.
Hmm.
What about those specialists? They only have them in major institutions and not in every city in the country. So,
Exactly.
Mhm. And they're actually, by doing this, they're defining our needs.
Yes. And I was going to even, you kind of started touching on it in terms of like every 15-minute city, it's not saying that they're going to be the same. So yeah, so
Mhm.
some of the 15-minute cities might have those specialists while others will not have those specialists. And then it's just
Mhm.
like, so what are you really doing? Are you really trying to help people, or are you trying to limit what they are provided, what they are experiencing, and that just takes us farther away from the truth? So
Right.
all these different components, and I'm going to stop there because I feel like you're going to touch on the other pieces that I want to speak on. So I'm going to
Yeah.
be
Yes.
patient.
Go ahead.
Thank you. No, no, no. Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead. Yes, thank you for bringing it up. Well, I'll state that this one article gives the definition: needs taken care of, stay in your house and shut up, or we'll take away from you. So exactly, Stacy. I'm not sure if people are seeing the truth of what they're trying to do. This model of a 15 minutes smart city. They're trying to entice people. So let's go over the cities. There are 25 top cities that are proposed with this um, plan, this building plan. This was the smart cities in this country. So it's Miami, Florida, San Francisco, California, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Boston, Massachusetts, Washington, D.C., Baltimore, Maryland, Minneapolis, Minnesota, Long Beach, California, Oakland, California, Cincinnati, Ohio, Buffalo, New York, Seattle, Washington, Chicago, Illinois, Cleveland, Ohio, Portland, Oregon, Denver, Colorado, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Orlando, Florida, Glendale, Arizona, Madison, Wisconsin, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Chandler, Arizona, Anaheim, California, Sacramento, California, and Lexington, Kentucky. They actually should have New York because there are some reports of New York having like a master plan as well. But interesting enough, Miami, Florida came on top as the best 15-minute city overall. So it earned a high score for walking, high bike score, highest scores for child care centers, density, medical access, school density, and proximity to parks and dining. So we've got to review like what makes a smart city. It's having those available tools in front of them, but it's really defined, meaning artificial intelligence. And you're right, Stacy, they're recording everything that we do. It's a matter of control. So let me share this story with you. A woman in China who's fully employed, was locked out of purchasing groceries using her digital currency, her digital payment. So apparently she must have done something that the powers that be didn't like, and they took that away from her to buying groceries. And then I saw a video of a man in the UK who went to purchase strawberries at an Aldi's in the UK, and he wanted to use cash, and they told him no, he couldn't do that. So he proceeded to, somebody was filming him. He left the cash on the counter. He said, "Here's the exact change for these strawberries. I'm walking out anyway," claiming that they're trying to take away his sovereignty by forcing him to pay digitally. But he didn't have it. He didn't want it. So, basically everything is switching to digital payments, digital currency throughout the world. So we have to think about that and how that's going to impact us all. And so we'll go to, versions of the 15-minute city that have been implemented so far is in Paris, some parts of Paris, Melbourne, Australia, while other areas like Ottawa, Canada, and Scotland have proposals that are in place. And I know that there's a plan in New York, in the New York City borough. So let's go back and review what went on in Lahaina. Lahaina, I keep getting it wrong. Lahaina. I'm going to have to keep getting corrected each time I mention that name. So, things that went wrong. There were no sirens that went off during the incident to warn the people. All right. So in the news, there was a reports of, when I talked about it 2 weeks ago, 99 people who were killed. But in actuality, there were over 3,000 people who died. There are body bags that are on the beach that they're saying piles of people who had died. And they're saying that the people who were trying to get out, the roads were blocked. And so the cars were at a standstill trying to get out, and they were obeying the traffic rules, the stopped. And those people that were in the car, and they were families, were incinerated while in the car. So there have been many theories on social media. One woman, she reported that the homes, when you look at it, there were homes that burnt down, and it would be 5 homes who were burnt down, and then one it skipped and went around. And then they will burn more homes and then to skip around, which is weird. Fires don't work like that. So, there's this long running conspiracy theory of weaponized government weather modification programs to claim desirable pieces of property from owners to build their 15-minute smart cities. So, and then what's interesting is these families are getting, their home is completely incinerated, and they're getting a whopping $700 per home. $700. Is there anyone that was trying to say something?
Cash Veritas with honor, respect, and gratitude. It was 3 different things that I'm going to try to remember to bring forward. So I wanted to say first, I think we all got our test run of the 15-minute cities with the pandemic, because we were limited to where we can go. We were limited with what we can do. And I think that was the litmus test to see, like, okay, how are people going to react? How are they going to like these liberties being taken away? How can we present it in the way that's going to be appropriate? Because if you notice that there's an uptick happening now and all of the things are coming back. So it's like, all right, there's trial run number 2. And then they're gearing up for the smart cities. So that was one thought that came about. I also read an article that was stating that the fire's temperature and intensity was so hot that it was not typical of a traditional wildfire. And that was raising the, red flags. So it was burning things to a degree that wasn't appropriate for a natural wildfire. And that goes with conspiracies as well. And even
Hmm.
within, clearing, it did not read the same as it normally would. Um, and then the third thing, oh, it just left me. It just left me. I'm gonna stop there. But yes,
Okay. It'll when it comes back, just come back on.
surely.
Just say
Yes.
something.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Yeah, there's just a lot of stuff that's questionable regarding this. Darlene, I know, no, are you trying to speak? Because I'm inviting you in to speak. I'm not sure what you need to do. Okay. All right. So just a little bit of history about Addis Lahaina. It's considered one of the wealthiest areas in the country. Um, and, it sustained significant fire damage about 2 weeks ago, with homes being burnt down from a so-called freak occurrence of wildfire breaking out. The community and in the community, however, prior to this has been considered self-sufficient, a city in Maui, desirable to some wealthy celebrities. So the celebrities actually lived on the outskirt, and the community, people who are indigenous to the area, live centrally in their own community. And this is an area that has been controlled by the community for decades, and known to be once the home of Hawaiian royalty, and actually, homes that they own and land that they own for centuries. And it's been reported that companies have been trying to buy people out and claim this land, but people have been refusing. I don't know until now. They're saying that Oprah, who is one of the wealthy homeowners on the outskirts, and now realize that the homes on the outskirts of where this community wasn't touched by the fires, just in that central area. So they're saying that Oprah um, is coming in to come and help, but it's been reported these families don't want her help because they're saying that she's trying to claim land also too, or has been trying to over time. There have been previous talks with regards to smart city in this area. So, Stacy, I'm sorry. Did you want to say something?
No apologies needed. The thought came back and it was kind of related. So the thought was about the that no alarms went off, that there were no alerts.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's interesting because there's articles coming out. Apparently the UK, they received a national alert, and the US is supposed to be receiving, everyone is supposed to be receiving an alert, I believe at the beginning of October. And it's one of those, like, it's presenting like, oh, it's in good faith to make sure nothing like this happens again. But even within the article, it was speaking about how previously there was alert sent to Hawaii that caused all type of fear and panic, and it was saying that it wasn't a drill. So immediately my thought was, okay, here you go, you're trying to prepare everybody, but it's still going to create an atmosphere of fear in the midst of
Hmm.
everything else that's going. And we know how when people are operating within fear, it doesn't create the most optimal circumstances to make good decisions. So it was like,
Hmm.
okay, here's the government trying to do the beautiful, good effort, good faith thing, but is it going to have that impact? And then it's interesting, the timing of it, the fact that somehow with all the technological advances that we have, nobody was allowed to, or nobody was able to get these life-saving alerts. That's very
Right.
hard to believe. So that was the other thought that
It's
I had.
it, it's it's very disheartening because families, children died because of it. Apparently they had like a very high tech, sophisticated system, alert system in Maui that they were using, but they decided not to use it to panic the people. But and then 3,000 people died because of that. You know, um, There was also a report that there was no access to drinkable water. That's kind of funny too. The water was limited, and they're saying that a lot of the big companies, like the hotels, were siphoning out the natural water resources that were in the land, the rivers. And again, hundreds and hundreds of bags, body bags, are seen on the beach of people who died. So I'll tell you that there were local agencies and communities that are organized to help these families who lost their homes. And then the Red Cross and FEMA came in and took that the these the took control of helping these families and took away all those resources that were given to the family, the food, clothing, some shelter. They took them away, and it just made things worse. These agencies made things worse for them. And people, if you listen, because I'm listening to actual people who live there from on the Children's Health Defense, and they're saying that this was all planned effort to acquire the land because the community refused to sell their land. It was their home. And protests have been broken out, with the media calling protesters conspiracy theorists. But, again, there's a master plan available. There are master plans available online. There was one for the plan for New York City Borough to making it appear appealing as a 15-minute smart city. Any other comments? So the food for thought is this for the benefit of us? Are we going to benefit from a smart city, or is this some sort of hidden enslavement? Just to be aware of it and to basically rethink, what are we going to do to maintain our sovereignty, and not to feed into the fear that is imposed in the mainstream news? Any more comments? All right. Well, I mean, I gave you quite a bit of information. So everyone, I always encourage everyone to do their own research and, confirm the information that I present to you. I would like to remind everyone of our weekly 30-minute whole responsibility sessions, Tuesdays and Thursdays, 6 a.m., 12:30 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as well as our extended 45-minute whole responsibility session at 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Can utilize the same link for each session. Commune with the power of Ho'oponopono. I will say that we'll be changing platforms as well. It's currently on Zoom, but I'll send the link that will link you into the new platform. And also, I want to remind everyone, that our next Evolutionary Virtual Book Club is scheduled for Friday, September 8th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And our next Divine Nation workshop, also virtual, is scheduled for Friday. Oh, Diane, do you have the date on that? I actually have the wrong date up here. September?
In Lakesh Veritas, with honor, respect, and gratitude. Yes, September 15th.
September 15th.
Is the
Okay.
next one. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. All right. And then I want to also remind everyone of the Abundance and Prosperity group call hosted by Of the Sun, meeting daily at 2:45 and 8:45 p.m. for only 5 minutes. There's power in numbers, raising the energy of manifesting abundance in our lives. And you can register on the ofthesun.com website found under the Meditations and Mindfulness tab. I also recommend that everyone listen to the Call for Truth podcasts given by Lotan Tavares of the Sun, which you can find on YouTube. It's really a really good discussion on relationships and how our circumstances relate back to ourselves. So just search Call for Truth podcast on YouTube. I also want to let everybody know that Enlica Studios, along with Dr. Makita Manat and Stacy Randall, will be hosting our first monthly spa retreat scheduled for Saturday, September 9th, held in Lawrenceville, Georgia, at the Riverwell Chiropractic Center. Lots of services will be offered for an initial entrance fee. This is going to be an oxygen bar, reflexology, chiropractic adjustments, bioenergetic scanning, along with call for true divination card pulls, as well as healthy food options and drinks. Kombucha. You know, I usually I feel good with drinking kombucha. So having a relaxing time. And if you're in town, I ask that you join us. And you can find information on Eventbrite on the event and look for the titling of Retreat Within, as well as information can be found on our websites, enlicastudio1.com, enlicastudio2.com, and enlicastudio4.com. All right. So everyone, thank you for joining and participating in this discussion. I look forward to seeing you again next week. And remember, knowledge is power, and taking action from this knowledge is true power. With honor, respect, and gratitude. And Lakesh and Veritas.
And Lakesh
And
and
Veritas, on respect and
And
gratitude.
Lakesh and Veritas with honor, respect, and gratitude.